All right, here we go. Hi, this is Kent West with GemVision. Thanks for joining today. We sure appreciate your business and you guys taking your time out from today to join the webinar. At the end of the webinar, when you close out, there should be a survey. It's a Google survey doc. So if you could please fill that out. I can't guarantee if you say something bad about me that it won't get deleted, but anyway. Also, we will be posting a video. I'm recording this right now. Even if the recording doesn't work out or if there's too many crashes, I'll just re-record it and post that one. No, we should be fine. Okay. Also, if you have any questions, at your top of your screen is a pull down and there's a Q&A section. So there is a chat there. You can use the chat, but if it's a question, if you use the Q&A, we can track it. That's enough of the housekeeping, I think. Okay, so welcome to Matrix 9. And the first thing that I want to show you is a new feature called Texture Builder. Okay, so I'm going to pull out one of my better models here. I call this Cube. And the idea of showing you Texture Builder on this model is the fact that Texture Builder works on a mesh. It works on multiple meshes. It works on poly surfaces. It works on surfaces. It works on just about anything that you can throw at it. So over here where Matrix Art is still but used to be just a button is now a menu. And in this menu there are some other goodies in here. In part these are some of the ClayU add-ons. The third button over is Texture Builder. So let's go ahead and start that and I'll roll up here so you can see. And I'll take my fine cube and put it in the box labeled item. You will then notice a lot of grayscale images that come up. And what we're really doing here is we're doing displacement mapping, okay? And for this demo, I'll just pick bricks. It's easy to see what's going on. Now, I can tell you right off the bat that this version, I'm on an older version, and the version that we are set to release, I believe, still today or tomorrow, you'll notice that the application didn't happen of the bricks, and I'm going to have to tickle this so that you can see the bricks, okay? But let me explain what I'm doing here. So, in a version coming out to you guys, this should be not an issue. Having said all that, here's what's going on. We have a grayscale image being applied to the poly surface, and we can control the number of images from the X direction and the number of images in the Y direction. Now, this is all happening at a really low resolution, and we do that on purpose because if you have these set at a really high number and start throwing in different bitmaps, it can take a while to draw this image. So as you're working, you simply come in and say, okay, I want to see this at medium resolution. How does this look? You know, maybe 6 is too high, and I can change the tile down to 4, and so on. So you can see that it happens really quick. When you're satisfied with what you want, you can simply take it over to high resolution. And as you can see, that takes a little bit longer to generate this, but the output that this is generating is a mesh. So I'll go ahead and right click or hit enter, and this will actually generate a 3D mesh. It's not really a render trick, it's displacement mapping. And I find that this is best viewed in the plastic shader, okay, so that you can really see what's going on. And so as you can see, there's my original cube and there's the mesh that resulted from that. Let's try this on, unless you guys are making chimneys, let's maybe try this on something a little more jewelry-like. So I have this surface here, and then I have this surface and this surface, okay? So you'll see this ring throughout this demo. I use it on a couple. So let's go ahead and throw this in here, and you'll see that once you've run this once, again, we go back to low so you don't get a bunch of high resolution bricks, and the function is up and going now. So we can go ahead And let's slide this down. And I've got this Weave 01 that you'll have in your library. And if you don't have that, if you have Matrix 9 already and you don't have that bitmap, don't call me because it's coming in the update. Well, you can call, but it's not about that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and slide this to 2 and slide this over to 12. Now, the next thing that's neat about this is we can rotate the pattern. So if I want this weave going on an angle, I can just click here and rotate it. And then the next one is black height and white height. And that is of the grayscale image. So you can see this image has, it goes to white, it goes to black. And I can pull this black value down toward the surface that it's being applied to. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and slide that down to about -0.5. And if you compare the surface that was right next to it, you can see that it's down in there. And then I'll come over to the white and I'll make that 0. So it's flush. And so now my ring did not grow, it stayed within the parameters that I built it for, if that makes sense. Having done that, I'll switch this over to high because I'm real satisfied with that. And that'll take just a moment. And when you notice that the command line is gone after hitting enter, then it will be geometry. Unless I didn't hit it. There we go. Okay, and then this surface, I'll go ahead and I'm just going to put that on red and turn that off. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and do the same to this surface. And there you can see it switched to low. I think I've made that point. And I'll go ahead and make this 7. Now, obviously I've done this demo a couple times. But as you can see, what I was able to do here to make this surface match was if I change the tile, you can see 6 is too many, 5 is, 3 is just right so that this matches up. And then we'll switch over to high. So I'll tell you, you can come up with some really good patterns and very quickly add surfaces to add mesh surfaces to existing ones, and then you know the mesh repair will have its way with all that when we go to put that into production. Okay, the next thing that I want to show, and I'm going to have to pour through this. We have a lot of content. I scheduled this for about an hour. I don't care how long I'm here, but I know you guys are out trying to make money, so I'm gonna forge through this pretty quickly. The next feature I want to show, though, is called Smart Pattern. Okay, and Smart Pattern is part of our Smart suite of surfaces tools here in Transform. And so here's a new button right here called Smart Pattern. So let's go ahead and start that. Okay. I have a blue surface here that was made with Curve Network. I swept this bottom surface, and I have a green one up in there that's going to be that inside gallery, or whatever you call that. I can never get a definitive answer on what this grill surface is going to be, but I call it an inside gallery. Okay, so we have a surface. We'll pop this in here. The next thing we want to do, and I'll talk about some of these features along here now. The top one is Browse Pattern. Now, unlike Texture Builder, you'll notice there's not a little folder here that we can go browse for items. It doesn't work that way. You need to have the geometry out on the screen. But we do have a Browse Pattern button, and we have all sorts of repeating patterns that we added for this function. And the one that I want to use is right here called Swirl Sphere. Don't make fun of the name, I named that one. Okay, so there's our geometry. I'll place that in the box. and it immediately starts that command. Now, I can tell you that depending on how the surface was made, whether the normals are facing in and out, you're going to get the pattern on the inside or the outside. I knew this was going on the inside. I wanted to make sure that I got to show you some of the tools. You can very easily simply flip the surface and it will go to the outside. So here's my design being quickly flowed up onto that. Okay, the next thing down is group output. As we're adding things to this surface, we're going to group the output so that there's not a whole bunch of individual pieces. We can also output either a mesh or NURBS. Now I can tell you that if you switch this to NURBS, when it goes to apply the final item, it's going to take noticeably longer because NURBS geometry is heavier. I'm going to leave, for my demo, I'm going to leave it in mesh so that we can speed things up. Okay, the next thing I want to show is how to adjust this. So we'll go down to columns, and I'm going to adjust the columns. Actually, I'm going to leave the columns at 2 for this demo, although I can show you what it looks like. There's the columns, okay? And then I'm going to adjust the rows to 7. And that seems like that is backwards to me. Okay, yeah it is. Sorry, my bad. I looked down on my cheat sheet too far. There we go, that's better. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to adjust this object into the surface just like I did with Texture Builder. And so I'm going to move this 0.8 millimeters in, so this is just on that surface. Okay, so output mesh is on. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and there it is. That is good to go. Now the next thing that I want to do is I'll go ahead and show you, even if you're working with meshes, all right, if you're going to do a lot of booleaning and a lot of trimming and cutting and so on, you may want to do NURBS geometry. But mesh for this, for what I'm doing, is going to be just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and extrude out the finger rail. And whenever I split meshes, I always mesh the cutter as well. And I use 0.2 on max edge length, and I turn simple planes off. And what this makes is a really dense mesh, but it cuts really well. So we'll go here, and I'm just going to type mesh split. I don't know where that button is. And here's the cutting object. And I just want to show, okay, now remember I have group on, okay? So we'll ungroup this, and away we go. So even if you do mesh, typically I haven't, you know, in all the demo models that we've done, I really haven't had any trouble getting rid of those meshes and so on, splitting them. Okay, let's bring back the blue surface here, and we'll go ahead and throw this in, and you can see it starts that pattern right away. Okay, and now we'll go to, let me roll this up here. We'll go to 2 columns and up to 7. There we go. And then again, I want to move this relative to the base surface 0.8 millimeters. Okay. With that done, there's no surface in the middle, so there's nothing that I have to do to work on that anymore. Now, before anybody spots it, I will say that this didn't match up perfect, but this isn't anything that I couldn't split and fix in pretty short order. So the fact that I made those 2 surfaces separately, that was about as good as I could get. Okay, so let's turn that off. And in the next job bag over, I have a part right here that I just made so that part of this was covered up. And then I did these outside rails too, so nothing real tricky there. The next thing that we want to do is add that inside gallery rail. So in this next job bag over, I have one of the pieces from the browser, and to save time I have that here. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this in the box. Oh yeah, it'll do this. I'm just going to hit escape. It hangs on to the other surface even though it's turned off. So now let's hit flip, and let's go ahead and adjust this to, you can watch it happen real time. So depending on how many items are on your surface, you can see how fast this is. And then I think I ended up at 3, but here's that. I want you to make these really small and then give it to your casting person and say sorry. All right, well, there's a ring. And the beauty is, you know, we'll give you all those parts and you can make stuff pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to take the time to hit File New because I have stuff all over the place. Okay, while this is reloading here, the next thing that I would like to show is style sheets. Now, style sheets are not new to Matrix. They've been around quite a while, but we found that people just didn't adopt to them like we envisioned, and I blame Beav, quite frankly. But the deal is, we're making a big push to make style sheets better, and I do want to give a shout out to Justin Thorup, is one of the users I know that embrace style sheets, and he sent me all of his, and I think every single one of them is in the program, so thanks, Justin. Having said that, let me show you how these work. I'm going to go ahead and select some gems and hit F6, and I'll show you the cutters first. So here's gem cutters, nothing new as far as how that works, but you can see the new library and the new browser for all our different items now, including cutters, heads, bezels, and so on. I'll explain more about this later in my presentation. But here we have the ability to just click through like before, and the difference here is that like in Profile Builder, Profile Placer, as you mouse over they change. Well, now you have to click them, and the reason that isn't to make it harder, and it's not, you can see I'm not having any trouble. The reason is that you can now just double click one and it'll apply it. So as you click through and find one you like, just double click and away you go. Okay, I'll just go ahead and apply those, and I'm really not here to do Booleans and so on because I'm not in the mood. Let's go ahead and hit F6 and do Head Builder. Okay, so here's Head Builder. Oops, I hate that when that happens. And let's go to Style Sheets here. We went ahead and threw away all the really cool ones we had and loaded some that looked more like jewelry. So here, again, you can click through. Now, a couple new things that you can do is you can add notes. So as you mix up your own styles, you can type notes, and you can even put a hot link in there. What we did is we matched up a lot of the parts with Stoller parts, and this link right here will take you to Stoller.com. It doesn't add it to a cart or anything. It just takes you so that you could order 20078 if that's the head that you wanted. Okay. Here's a head that I went ahead and built. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Apply. And I want to show you something else about this builder, and I'm going to tie a couple features together to do this demo. Okay, so one thing that we thought was really important with these new style sheets is that yours matched ours so that it all felt seamless and so on. So let me go ahead and turn on a rail here, and I'll switch over to the second gallery rail, and let me move this up. So I'm just building a new head. Maybe I wasn't comfortable with the lack of a gallery rail there, and so now I feel better about all of this. Having done that, I can immediately go back to styles, okay? And I can add this to the library right down here at the bottom. And the first thing we do is we take a nice screenshot in a plastic shader of just that part. You can stop there, okay, and call that a day. But here's some notes, da-da-da-da-da. And if that preview is good enough for you, then hit save, and there it is. But I want it to match my library, so I'm going to go ahead and hit apply and hit enter, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and ditch all this. And I think I'll just move this down a bit so it's in the center. So let's jump over to the render builder. Now, there was a webinar today from V-Ray for V-Ray for Rhino 3, which I wanted to go to but was not comfortable doing that when I had my own webinar to do. I can tell you that we're looking at V-Ray 3, but it was not ready for V-Ray for Matrix, so this is V-Ray 2. Now, there's a new style called Matrix Preview, okay? So let me click that and then I'll load the green button. And this is a toon style render, okay? So I can tell you that we used platinum for all the white metal. And then when it comes over to heads, we grouped like colors into just one. In other words, all the dark blue is just this blue, all the purple is this color. So there's only about 6 or 7 colors as you look through this, okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and make this the light blue, which we did for diamond. Load a ground plane. Now, I can also tell you that all those previews are rendered at 300 by 300. And I can also tell you that the angle was about this, okay? Now, another neat feature that we have, in case you wanted all your angles of all your cutters or all your heads or everything that you're adding to styles to be the same, in the View menu, we have a new little feature called View Manager. Now, this is just like going into the Rhino menu and going down to Named Views and saving them, except for that named view gets saved in that 3DM, okay? And so this tool goes across all 3DMs. It's saved somewhere else, and you can load them and delete them off any 3DM. So I'm going to add this current view. This is only a command line item, okay? So this is my render head library, okay? So I say okay. So now, if I run this command again, I have different views. So I can go load view. Well, here's perspective front view, okay? And there's that. And then I can run it again, load view, slightly down from the side. I think you get the point. With just a head out there, it's not real electric. But let me go back and render head library, and boom, I'm back. So again, that just works from here. You can fill it up as much as you want. I'm going to hit render. There's my cool toon shader, just like our library. I'm going to save it to my desktop because it's usually full of stuff anyway. And then we'll come back here, hit F6, go back to Head Builder, go back to Style Sheets. There's that head. I can click on it and say Edit. And I can come over here and say, yeah, I would like to match that with my cool new render that I just learned I could do. Hit Save. You can hit Apply or not, doesn't matter. And there we go. All right. Anything hidden? The next thing I want to show is called Web Designer. Now, Web Designer is very cool, and it's very controversial. You may have seen on the Matrix 9 webpage, gemvision.com/M9, that there was a section on there about GemVision Labs. And GemVision Labs is a fancy way of saying, hey, this is stuff we're working on, and it's not done yet. Because labs sounds cool. Having said that, this is one of those tools. So let me show you how it works, and away we go. If you go back to the render menu, right here is Web Viewer. All right, here we go. So what is this? Well, Matrix Web View Creator is a way that you can make your own website. It's hosted on one of our Amazon servers, and you could send a link to your customer of a piece of jewelry that you designed for them, and they can turn it, rotate it, look at it. They can try different metal types. They can try different gem types, etc. Okay? And so this is the interface to design that web page. At the header, you can have text or an image. I'm going to pick image and go get my cool logo that I have right here. Is it the end one? All right. And then I have a graphic for the background. So I'm going to go over to graphic. Now, we send you a bunch of flowers and backgrounds and cool stuff, but I couldn't find any carbon fiber. And so I went and found a seamless carbon fiber background. Okay, and because it's seamless, I'll turn off stretch so that it tiles it throughout the background. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is select, let's select metal 2. That'll be my primary metal. And I'll put that in the box labeled primary metal. Then I'll default this to yellow gold, but I'll give the customer the ability to pick any of these colors of metal. All right? Now let's jump over to secondary metal. That would be the metal 1. We'll throw that in the box. I'll default that to gold as well, but give them the ability to change it up. Next is primary gem. That would just be the initial one. And I'll throw that in the box. We'll default to diamond, and I'll say you can pick from any of these things. You can do some, none, whatever you want, whatever you're selling, as long as they're buying. And then lastly, we'll do, now, this last one, there's only one more section for secondary gems. So unfortunately, I can't do this row of gems, and then this row, and then this row. If we get third and fourth sections of gems, Chris Hancock programmed this. I don't know if he'd kill me for going, oh, yeah, maybe we can do that. Hopefully we can. Okay, having done that, and if we can't, well, then I'll apologize to Chris now for bringing it up. Okay, we can add custom notes. Click here for viewing our gallery. We can show up to 6 pictures along the side of the website. So I can come over here and here's my V-Ray render stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I can pick, you just hold down Control and pick pictures, okay? The check mark shows the one that starts out as the first image on the website. Down here, thanks for watching the webinar. And you can have up to 20 pages stored on our server at a time. So if you fill this up with 20, you can't do another one. You'd have to overwrite or delete one. Okay, but at any given time, right now, this tool is open to everyone that has Matrix 9. I can't guarantee that down the road we'll be doing this differently because of bandwidth, because of how many you're going to want to do, and so on. But this is part of labs, and we want feedback on this, and we want to figure out what's the best way to do this. Okay, so next you would hit Create on Web, but I'm going to go ahead and close this because it takes a moment. And like any good cooking show, I already have it right here. So there it is in all yellow. There's my logo. Okay, here's my gallery. So we can come over here and say, click below to see our gallery. And you can just go through and say, oh yeah, those are really interesting. Okay, those happen to be like the first ones that I saw. You can rotate this and look at it. You can roll the wheel and zoom in. You can pan it. Right click is pan. Okay, and then, well, let's go ahead and see what that looks like with white gold and rose gold. Oh, it's getting different. Oops. And then there. I will take it. Okay, so there is that. There's more functionality to come on this. So we're looking for feedback, and it's a really fun thing to play with. So let me get this out of here. Okay, next is Rope Builder. So we've been toying with a rope builder for quite some time, and it's just never made it into Matrix, but it has now. It happens to be a builder, so it's over here in the builder menu. Right here is a twisted piece of rope. It's also the name of my new band, Twisted Piece of Rope. Okay, so I have this broken up into sections just so you can see a way to use this, and also to speed things up. But having started Rope Builder, you can see the command lines going. So the minute I pick on a curve, up it goes. So here's the different items. We have the thread size, which is in millimeter diameter. So I can scroll that up to 1.5. I'll put it back down to 1. You can adjust the number of threads. So there's 4 threads. You can go down to 1 if you want to. But typical 3-strand is what I go for. The next one is the number of twists. Okay, so this is going to look better with more twists. You can see it reacts pretty quickly. All right, so I'll put this at about 12. And the next thing that I want to jump to before I forget is right up here where it says none. Okay, that's up here as well. It's the rope cap type. So we'll pick round, and that'll put a rounded end on that rope. Now, the more diameter you have in the thread, and the tighter that the twist is, the less definition you get for the rope itself. So this last one will change the distance of the threads around the center line like so. Okay, so we'll put this down to about 0.5 or so. So they're still touching, but I get better definition for my rope. I'll go ahead and click enter, okay, and it'll make that rope. Let's switch back over to plastic here. Now the cool thing is it hangs on to those settings. So when I put this side in, I don't have to do anything. I can just hit enter. It held on to those last settings. If those work out for you, then that's great. We'll go ahead and throw the bottom in. That's too many twists. So let's go back down here and head to 7. And you can see that was not hard for me. I messed around with it obviously before the demo, but all I had to do was slide it until it matched. So that's not too hard. And then lastly, I have this little piece here, and number of twists goes down to 4, whatever looks good. So there's my forget-me-not ring, I guess. All right, Rope Builder, yay. Design report is next. So I've got a ring out here, just different size stones, different metal, and so on. So design report is not new to 9, but we've added some functionality to it. So design report is right here. Let me move my ring over here so you can see. And I'll click design report. Since it says please, I guess I'll wait. All right, here we go. So I have already applied some materials to this ring. To the dark green, I applied white metal, white gold, and to the light green, I applied yellow gold. So as you can see over here under metal, these are already specified what they are. If you hadn't specified, you can click on the list and change it, okay? But it follows your materials. If we go up here, you'll see that the center stone is a sapphire because I assigned sapphire to it. Now I can tell you with gems, if you don't assign anything, it defaults to diamond GH-I1. Okay, that's just what it defaults to. So if you have a Stoller account, then when you hit quote, it'll ask you for your credentials, and you would type them in there. Now you can see up here that it's starting to populate prices based on my Stoller credentials, but there is an exclamation point down here indicating that one of these things was not priced. Well, I can tell you that it was because there's not a AAA in stock, okay? So I'm going to change this, and here's all the different types of blue sapphires that Stoller has available. And so I'll pick AA, and with that go down and hit quote again. And it found one, an 8x6. And if you hit the preview button, it'll take you over to Stoller.com to that specific item. Okay? So lastly, if you're going to print this out, or if you just want this, if you're going to show it live in front of your customers, keep in mind that your markups are in this, so it's safe to show this to your customer. You can also change the logo, okay? And so I'll just jump over here and pick that one. And my store's looking pretty good. I got a website now. I got a design price report thingy. All I need now is some jewelry. Okay, speaking of jewelry, the next item that we have up for bid is the user library. And you can get to that from the top pull down, user library here, or of course in this file menu, user library here. Now, we've had this as a wish list item on the forum and from customers for a while. And basically, this is an area that you can start to park all your designs, okay? And as you click on your designs, you will see that we have populated whatever is in that item into the list, okay? And so here's the total weight of the 3 gems. I had not assigned any materials, so it defaulted to this continuum sterling. That is the default. As I click on this, if you look right down here, you'll see that they're defaulting to that. So you'll want to apply materials so that it knows what they are. Then over here, this is the new browser that is like the Stoller Findings and the Burmark library, and so you can see we've adopted this this browser. You can slide things around and so on. And then over here you can click on the different previews. Okay. The nice thing is that I have a folder on my hard drive called Matrix Files. That's the name of the folder. But you can have other folders underneath that. In other words, so if I have my Matrix Files, but I have my Indian weave ring, well, here's what they look like without my cool preview, but there's all your files that you're used to, okay? And then you can go down in. Now, I can tell you another thing that that you'll need to do in order for this to work, and that is all these files, in order for us to populate this information, have to be saved from within Matrix 9. Because other versions didn't have this builder, they don't have the information that we're looking for. Okay, so the point that I want to make here is, here's all my files, and here's all the subfolders under there, okay, so you can populate that as deep as you want. There is a feature to convert a file over to Matrix 9 without having to open it yourself and save it and so on. It lives right here, right next to, let me go ahead and close this. Right here is user library add-on, okay? And you could make a temporary folder and put a bunch of files into it. Now, when I say a bunch of files, do not do 200 or 300 files or something crazy, because Rhino has trouble opening and saving and closing file after file after file. It's, you could say Matrix if you want, but it happens in Rhino too. And so what I do is 25 at a time, okay? And then it just opens them, converts them to that format, and then resaves them, same file name, okay? Now, if you want the cool look that I had where they all look the same, and this was one of the first things I did because that's the kind of stuff that I do, there's a function that the webinar people get to see that doesn't have a button yet because we're still tweaking it, but it is GV batch save library format. Okay, did everybody catch that? Doing your screen captures? GV batch save library format. Okay, and this is oh yeah, it warns you about 20 times that you're going to do this whole big process. Okay, but here's how it works. It's command line only. Okay, the preview you would want to be true. The folder location where you're putting your files. Okay. So whatever folder you have them in, go point to that, okay? Calculate metal weight, you'd want true, but you better make sure that your files are sound so that we can calculate the metal weight. If they're open, nothing will happen, okay? And this is the display mode preview. So when you click on this, here's all our shade modes. I picked Tech White, okay? Save small, true or false, that just saves on file size, and then quick convert, true or false. And I'd tell you what that is, but I can't remember. I'm going to hit escape, and that's how you make those. So good luck. Okay, here is the rest of my demo. Now, I will be honest and tell you that I probably am not the best guy to show ClayU. I'm an older Matrix user. I'm learning ClayU, so I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm going to show you ClayU. I'm going to show you their new sculpt feature that's really cool. I'm learning ZBrush too, but this is pretty fun as well. So, and T-splines, well, I know how it works. Now, I can tell you for ClayU, we worked really hard because we lost the ability to distribute T-splines. That is now gone. We are out to make ClayU as close to T-splines as we can for the people that already have T-splines. Now, before you start sending me a bunch of messages, you probably already know that we can't sell it anymore, but if you already bought it, you can always use T-splines in your Matrix 8 or earlier version that has it. So I have it right here, as you can see. There's my T-spline, safe and sound. And I think I just clicked on a thing that I wish I wouldn't have, so I'm going to hit File New. Okay. All right, so let's get to it. So up here at the top, we didn't call it ClayU because we needed the room for art, so we called it Sub D. In order to turn on the ClayU interface, it's this first button right here, and there's the HUD for ClayU. If you turn this off, then it's there. But I can tell you that if you start any function, and I'm going to go ahead and start the ClayU Signet Ring, it turns the HUD on for you automatically. And because ClayU is a true plugin for Rhino, it'll also take advantage of this menu, the Rhino properties. So let's go ahead and just dock that and get that going. Okay, so we have all these parameters that we can do, the size, the diameter of this, that, the other thing. So this doesn't really exist yet until I go through and tell it all the parameters right here. It's just interactive, and then when I hit OK, it'll it'll turn it into geometry. Right up here on the far right is the ability to go from smooth to box edit mode. Okay? All right, so this works very similar to T-splines. Okay? You can pick edges, you can come in and scale. If I click Alt, I'll get a new one. Okay. And so on. So now we can go ahead, double click. I want you guys stealing my designs. This is a Kent West original. All right. I think you get the idea. So it's very similar to T-splines, including one of the functions that I never get sick of seeing, and that is bridge, which lives right here. So we hit bridge, and there's the number of segments between the bridge, whatever you want. Hit OK, and there we go. All right, so this will all look pretty familiar. Here's the hotkeys. I can tell you we have a set of hotkeys for T-splines users. We have a set of hotkeys for ClayU users. And then we have all the icons for people like me that don't use hotkeys. So I know I'm missing the boat, but there you go. Okay, so then if you want to turn off the HUD, just come back, and now we're back to geometry. Okay, I would like to show you, besides ClayU, and if you were looking for a ClayU demonstration as far as a whole big tutorial, I'm afraid that's another webinar. But as you can see, if you haven't seen ClayU yet, here's all the primitives. Here's the convert from NURBS or convert from T-splines. And I can also tell you that we took the T-splines library and converted it to ClayU objects. So it's the same thing, except for they are ClayU objects. So those are all in there if you're used to those. Okay. I have in here one of my old demos. It happens to be, I did this with network curves. I'll show this real quick. If you just hit network curves and hit OK, this is the start of my, it's either an alligator or a dragon. I can't decide which. So there's that. But if I bring it out here, right now it's NURBS. And to get this to be a little tighter, I'm going to go ahead and mesh it. And I'm going to mesh it with that same setting that I used before, 0.2 on the max edge length, and hit OK. And I'm going to nuke the NURBS surface. Now, you can use NURBS surface for this next feature that I'm going to show you, which happens to be right here, and it's ClayU Sculpt. Okay? So here we go. How are we doing time-wise? All right, we're right in here. So select objects, press enter when done, and there he is. The first thing that I want to do, the very first thing I want to do is turn on symmetry. So here's what we have. We have the number of faces, we have the number of vertices, and if you click this button, it will subdivide it and increase the number of faces. Okay, here's symmetry right here, so I'll turn it on, and that is indicated by that line. Okay, and here's the tools across the top. So, and then if you want to know what tool I'm on, look right here on the black bar. I'm on Inflate. The first thing that I want to do is drag, okay? And then so we have a radius for the tool and then also an intensity for the tool, okay? So if I were going to start to sculpt on his nose, okay, and start to push and pull, and I'll just change my view and start sculpting. Now, I am not a sculptor by night or by day, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot here. Okay? Yeah, the more I do this, the more it's a dragon. Okay, you can go in by switching this button. This is labeled negative. Okay, so now for his nostril, I can start to push in. All right? And then you can just toggle that back and forth and start to get a pretty decent nose, I guess. Okay. The next thing, and you know, as far as that goes, is as you start to do this, if we're going to start to pull this up and out, so I just tend to rotate around wherever I'm working here. And then we can switch over to negative and push in and so on. So I think you get the idea there. But as far as that goes, there's some other features too. If this starts to get a little lumpy on you, okay, we can come over to smooth, and I can tell you that you want to take the intensity down on smooth a bit. But I'll go ahead and run that over that. Maybe a little more intensity. There we go. So we'll smooth him out again. So that's nice. And there's another neat command right here called crease, okay, where I'll take the radius down a bit but make the intensity quite high. And then right here where I lost definition of his mouth here, I'll go ahead and run there it goes. And as a matter of fact, so that you can see a little better, let me switch shade modes. So you can change shade modes as well. I don't know if that helped or hurt. There it goes. So we'll run that around here. All right. So I think for a program that comes with ClayU and it's no ZBrush replacement, but it's very powerful for whatever you're looking for. And let's go ahead and convert that to we'll convert that to geometry. And that is about it for what I wanted to show today. And I want to make sure that I leave room for some questions and so on. So I'm looking, Matt, I don't know if you want to turn on your audio. I've been seeing some of the chat go by, but I purposely have to ignore it while I'm demoing or I get lost.
Well, I think the big unanswered question, Ken, is who does your hair?
Oh, it's a guy named Hank.
Hank.
Yeah.
There it is, everybody. We had multiple
really
people ask, so I wanted to make sure that one got answered. I think everything else, I think we did a pretty good job of keeping up with it. I don't think there was anything big. We have some new nicknames for you, and there needs to be a GV Dragon Gator command.
GV, one thing that I saw passing by was that up in the thing, and I almost laughed out loud. So, well, Dragator? Is it Dragator or what?
It's Dragon Gator. It's got to be the full thing. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, I think though that most of the questions were answered. If not, I'm still keeping an eye on the chat and Q&A. If anyone has anything, feel free to toss it in there, and we will we will go at it. So.
Yeah. Well, I would like to thank Matt for fielding all the questions and helping me set this up in the North Carolina office. And then I have Matt Haycraft here in the Iowa office, who helped me get ready for this. And without those guys, I wouldn't even be here. So thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
So I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of questions. Thanks, guys. Hey, Kevin Furtenbaugh, thanks.
Yeah.
I think there was one about file size.
Yeah, one just popped in.
You know, you can see that. I mean, the mesh, they're just dense meshes. If you get a ton of them, you know, a ton of meshes on there, it's just like anything else. But I haven't noticed the file size as being unmanageable.
Mm-mm.
I don't know that specifically answers your question, but my hard drive's all full of stuff, so.
Yep, and just to, I think one point I'd like to elaborate a little more on is the T-splines for the current T-splines users. You know, Kent did show briefly the drop-down menu at the top that houses all of the T-splines commands. If you can, you know, if you're a licensed to run a T-splines software inside Matrix, all of those tools did move to that drop-down. I just want to reiterate that. So you're not missing any of the tools, I don't believe. They've just all been relocated to only the top menu there. So you can still get to them all, but they just live at the top.
Very good. And this ring's for sale, if anybody's interested.
Nah.
Yeah.
Will the web viewer eventually have other render styles?
Oh, as far as the amount of metals?
This is similar to a presentation shade mode. So this uses WebGL materials, and so we would have to develop new materials for different looks. I think the easiest way to get different styles would be changing your background and your things like that. So it only has this one set of materials for now. That's not to say we may not introduce some options down the road, but it does use a different library than, say, our V-Ray render materials. It's a completely different material makeup. So
yeah. What I think we could do is, quite frankly, when you start to get into palladium, platinum, white, 18 white, it's really hard to tell the difference in the color. But I think what we could do, and I'm thinking out loud here, is that we could simply list more, but they would be the same shader. Yep. So we might put 14 karat gold or 18 karat gold, but it would be the same yellow shader.
Correct.
At least they would feel like you're offering them more than just those three.
Yep, absolutely. Let's hear, when and where will the Matrix 9 manual be available in PDF? I do not have the exact date. I believe it's real near completion. So I can get an exact date. Maybe we'll make a forum post and give everybody a heads up. So just keep an eye out on the forum.
Yeah, we can do that. Daniel Otten is working on that thing super hard, and we have a history of the questions you've answered here, and so any that we weren't able to answer, I'm sorry we couldn't answer them right now, but we will get you an answer, and that will be coming.
Yep. And we should be good with a recording of this to post to the forum sometime soon, Kent?
Oh, well, actually, if you go to matrix.com support, here, let me do this. So let's go to gemvision.com /support / just say it out loud, matrix. And then what? Manual.pdf. What was it? Manuals with an S. Okay, sorry. Matrix manual. Oh, come on. What is it? Support?
Oh, yep, there you go.
I had an S on it.
Yep.
Hey, look at that.
So it looks like we were behind.
Well, I never read the manual, so.
No, I just call support.
Yeah. So
there you go.
There you go.
And I did put that link in the chat for everyone as well, so you can copy and paste it or whatever you need to do.
Cool. Right. Hey, we answered one.
Yay.
All right. Anything else coming through? Thanks again, everybody, for coming. I wish we could have seen everybody. Next time we'll have everybody will have a webcam on.
That's right. So everybody go to Hank and get your hair done.
You don't want to pan down on Beebs. He's rarely wearing pants, so.
You know, it's warm in the South.
All right, I think people are leaving as fast as they can.
We've started with our stand-up routine. Everybody exit.
We've had a request, but we're going to keep talking anyway.
All right.
Hey, there's a good one. Are you guys going to hold symposiums anymore? Yes, we really want to have symposiums, and we want to have our roundtable discussions. We always need new ideas, and so we will hold those going forward down at what I affectionately call the mothership, otherwise known as Stuller. And so be looking for that. At the Bench Jewelers Bench Jeweler Workbench event, me and Matt were down there, and we had an impromptu one with some fine counter sketch / matrix users, so that was good. But we honestly will be doing that, and it's very important to everybody on this call. And so stay tuned.
Yep, good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's see, I got a couple more for yeah, I'm just answering questions here. So if everyone's looking at the Q&A, the questions are being answered.
Ooh, roundtable for dealers too. Yeah. I don't see why not. I'll talk to Chris Berger about that.
And will you put a link, Kent, on the forum, or where will the link be for the recording of this?
Well, I think everybody that's here probably found this via the forum, so that's the first place we'll put it. Okay. And then I'll let Ryan and the marketing peeps that, if they want to put it far and wide, it's up to them. But okay. We'll put it on the forum first. So yeah, thanks everybody that stayed up late in different time zones, or I don't know if anybody had to get up early for this, but it depends on how far around you are.
Here's one for you, Kent. Clay Sculpt. Can you give that a poly surface, or do you have to start with a single surface?
I am fairly certain that you have to start out with a single surface. Mm-hmm. But here's what you can do. You can also, if you have a ClayU object, after you're done, like that signet ring that I had, after you're done with it, you can turn off sub D. You can turn off ClayU, and then you can take that object and put it into Sculpt and sculpt away. Correct.
So with a poly surface, you could mesh it, correct, and then feed it a mesh?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So there you go. I think Amy Rugg, you had asked that question. If you're still here,
all right.
That helps. Awesome.
So if you do another baseball ring, then you got to mesh it.
That's right. That is right. Okay. All right, and we will go through the rest of these questions. If we missed any, we'll make sure those get answered. So.
All right, cool. Well, that's about it. I had this scheduled for about an hour, and we're a little over, but that's no trouble. Is there anything else, Beav, that we need to?
I don't think so. Well, Amy, you're right. We are your biggest fans.
We are.
Not your only fans, but your biggest. So, and
hey, I'm working on it.
That's right.
So, all right, cool. Well, thanks again, everybody, for coming, and hope to see you either at a symposium or a show. Me and Matt will be in Vegas. If you're coming to Vegas, we'll have to get together. So thanks again, and look forward to seeing what everybody does with Matrix 9.
Yes, yeah. Don't be shy about posting the new designs on the forum. I want to see them.
That's right. That's right. Okay, well, I am going to end the webinar now. So thanks again, everybody. Appreciate you. Thanks for your business.